Hey everyone, so if you're diving into Arknights Endfield, you probably already know that getting the best characters can feel a bit like hitting the lottery. But here's the thing, luck only gets you so far. What really makes the difference is knowing which characters are worth leveling up and building around. Sure, the star rankings give you a quick idea of who's strong, but trust me, it's not the whole story. A character's abilities, their element, and how they fit your playstyle matter way more than a number on a screen. In this video, we're going to break down the full tier list for all the characters in Arknights Endfield. I'll walk you through who's a must-have, who's situational, and who's just fun to mess around with. Whether you're a beginner trying to figure out where to spend your resources, or a seasoned player looking to fine-tune your team, this guide is going to make your decisions a whole lot easier. So sit back, grab your device, and let's dive into the world of Endfield characters together. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking characters in Arknights Endfield. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching.
My friends, only 0.1% of viewers subscribe. If you like this type of content, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you in advance for your support.
The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Catcher. You know that friend who promises to have your back but only shows up when things are really dire? Yeah, that's Catcher for you. He can provide shields and even apply a stack of vulnerable when he uses his battle skill, plus he can knock down enemies with his ultimate. Sounds neat, right? But here's the catch, pun fully intended. His shield only activates if an ally drops below 40% health, which basically means you're holding your breath, hoping someone doesn't die before he decides to jump in. Not exactly the rock-solid defense you'd want in the middle of a chaotic fight. Now, let's talk about that vulnerable stack. It's kind of like trying to hit a piñata while blindfolded. It depends on the enemy doing what you need them to do. If the enemy isn't cooperating, that vulnerable stack isn't going anywhere, and suddenly your whole plan for stacking Crush or Breach with physical teams hits a wall. Catcher's potential is there, but it's finicky, to say the least. Honestly, Catcher feels like a support character stuck in limbo. He's got the tools to help the team survive, but the timing is weird, and he offers no healing of his own. Most of the fight, your team might as well be waving at him from the sidelines, hoping he notices. So, while he's not useless, he does bring some shields and debuffs to the table. Relying on him as a core part of your rotation, that's a gamble. And in Arknights Endfield, you usually want your team's survival to be a sure thing, not a maybe. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Fluorite, Alesh, Snowshine, and Estella. Ever had that one teammate who promises versatility but ends up being really niche? That's Fluorite in a nutshell. She's all about stacking cryo or nature inflictions, depending on what's already on the enemy. Got a team that needs corrosion, she can apply her own nature infliction and open the door for it. Honestly, if you need that extra elemental nudge, Fluorite's your gal. But here's the rub, her combo skill cooldown is high and her ultimate costs a pretty penny of skill points. That means you can't spam her niche whenever you like, which makes her feel a bit picky. And unlike other units, she can't trigger those fancy team supporting effects from gears like Frontiers or Sierra Knight. So, outside of her niche, she doesn't really do much. The good news? Cryo teams actually need her. Unlike Heat and Physical teams, which have Wolfguard and Chen handling inflictions, Cryo squads are a little starved for sources of cryo inflictions. That's why Fluorite sneaks a little higher on this tier list. Her specialty is genuinely useful right now. Now let's slide over to Alesh. He's the vanguard for Shatter teams, all about generating skill points through his combo skill or ultimate. His damage multipliers are solid, and he even has a chance to boost his own skill point gain. On paper, that sounds like a great deal, right? Except Alesh has a bit of a greedy streak. His kit depends heavily on cryo infliction stacks or killing enemies with his ultimate to really shine. Without those conditions, he's not doing much, and unlike other vanguards, he doesn't provide any buffs outside of the Frontiers set, which leaves his team lacking a little oomph. The bigger problem? His team archetype is weak. There's no true carry or support to make full use of Alesh's skill point shenanigans. Plus, his cryo infliction consumption doesn't play well with the current cryo team variants, so while he can generate skill points, it's often not enough to tip the scales. Next up, Snowshine. She's the classic healer you call when someone's hurt, which is all the time if you're unlucky. She can heal via her combo skill and even force solidification with her ultimate. Throw in a cryo infliction on her battle skill, and you've got a unit who looks useful at first glance. But here's the thing, that cryo-infliction is tied to enemy behavior. Translation, if the enemy doesn't cooperate, your infliction is going nowhere. And her healing only triggers when an ally's health drops below a certain threshold, so your team is rarely fully healed, which makes her feel a bit underwhelming as a sustain unit. Then we have Estella, the core unit for shatter teams. She applies physical susceptibility to enemies with solidification, which sounds pretty strategic if you're running that setup. She's the glue that holds certain team combos together, at least in theory. In practice, Estella's team archetype is, well, fragile. The setup requires both inflictions and vulnerable stacks, mixing arts and physical damage, but there aren't great supports or damage dealers to back it up in the current roster. That makes her niche kind of shaky. So, where does that leave Estella? She's fine for her specific role, but not strong enough to make waves outside of shatter teams. Her utility is solid in theory, but right now, she's limited by the rest of her team's weakness. All in all, B-tier characters in Arknights Endfield are a mixed bag. Fluorite fills a needed niche, Alesh has skill point potential, but suffers from team synergy issues, Snowshine can heal but with limitations, and Estella is a niche pick for shatter teams. None are top tier, but each has its moments if used correctly, or if you just enjoy a little chaos in your team rotations. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Pelika, Wolfguard, Akakuri, Arklight, D-Pan, and Ember. Pelika is basically the Swiss Army knife of arts teams. She can forcibly apply electrification via her combo skill, which only requires her final strike. That makes her incredibly flexible and a solid pick if you need to trigger your teammates' combo skills or just nudge electric inflictions into play. The catch? Her electrification debuff lasts only 5 seconds and has a 20-second cooldown, so if you're not careful, you'll miss a lot of uptime and the team won't get the full benefit of the extra damage. Timing is everything with Pelika. Think of her as a sprinter, not a marathoner. To make her shine, rotations need to be planned around stagger windows with all ultimates ready. It's a bit of a juggling act, but when you pull it off, she can make arts teams really hum, giving your damage a nice little shock bonus. Wolfguard is the Heat team's MVP for infliction application. He can apply more heat inflictions than anyone else, stacking 2 via his battle skill into his combo skill. This makes him incredibly valuable for arts reactions, especially for Leviathan and her melting flame mechanic. Here's the thing, Wolfguard's personal damage output is, let's say, modest. Most of his effectiveness comes from setting up enhanced battle skills for others rather than being the main damage dealer himself. So, in practice, Wolfguard is strictly an infliction applicator. His job is to feed heat stacks to the rest of the team and make sure Leviathan shines. Don't expect him to carry your DPS, he's more like the behind-the-scenes technician, making sure the fireworks go off. Akakuri is the ultimate SP generator for nearly any team. She works as a vanguard, buffing teammates via the Frontiers set, and can slot in wherever SP generation is needed. She's versatile and pretty reliable in that role. However, her SP generation is largely dependent on her ultimate, since using her combo skill consistently depends on which enemies are present. If the right enemies aren't around, her skill points trickle in slowly, which can feel a bit inconsistent. Still, Akakuri shines as a flexible vanguard for teams that lack a dedicated SP generator. She might fall behind compared to specialized SP units like Pogranichnik or Arklight, but in general, she's a solid jack-of-all-trades pick who can fill gaps in almost any team. Arklight is the go-to vanguard for electric teams. She can buff the team through the Frontiers set and her Wildland Trekker talent, while her high frequency of skill point generation keeps the team rolling. Plus, she can convert electric infliction into electrification, which adds nice synergy with electric-based setups. Her talent comes with a caveat. You need to spend skill points 3 times to trigger her buff, totaling a net loss of 210 skill points. So while she's generating SP, you're also spending a chunk to get the bonus, making timing and resource management crucial. Overall, Arklight is incredibly useful in electric teams, but she requires careful planning. If you can manage her SP rotation well, she's a powerhouse support, but if you mismanage it, she can feel like a net SP drain. Darpan is the physical team's crush damage dealer. His ultimate excels in AoE content, and he can even set up his own vulnerable stacks without relying on another operator like Administrator. That gives him some independence and makes him fun for team rotations, but here's the kicker. Darpan requires 4 stacks of vulnerable to trigger his crush ability. Even though current physical team setups can handle this, it still puts some limits on rotations, especially compared to Endministrator, who can trigger crush anytime as long as a single vulnerable stack is present. So while Darpan is strong in AoE and crush damage, he lacks the team support that other physical units offer. He's a specialist with great damage potential, but timing and vulnerable management are key to getting the most out of him. Ember is the physical team's support despite her heat element. She can heal and shield, plus provide vulnerable stacks with knockdown effects. In the right build, her sustain keeps the team alive and adds extra utility through her debuffs. However, her kit can be clunky in practice. Her healing only triggers if she lands an attack, and her combo skill won't trigger properly if the controlled operator is hit, while her ultimate shield is active. That makes her less reliable against fast enemies or chaotic battles like rampaging shields. Despite these quirks, Ember still has value. She's not top tier sustain, but with careful play, her healing, shielding, and vulnerable application can make her a strong auxiliary support in physical teams. She's basically the glue that keeps everyone from crumbling, if you handle her carefully. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right: Aviwena, Yvonne, Chen Chanyu, Xu, Endministrator, Pogranichnik, Gilberta, Saihi, Last Right, Li Feng, and Antal. Aviwena is the electric team's superstar carry. She dishes out strong burst damage while applying electric susceptibility to boost her own attacks, and she plays nicely with electrification, corrosion, or art susceptibility on her team. Basically, she's a walking power-up for herself and anyone nearby. The catch? Her damage is backloaded, meaning a lot of it comes later rather than instantly. Play her wrong, and that burst can fizzle. Timing and rotations are crucial if you want to hit those sweet weak point phases in Umbral Monument. When played correctly, Aviwena shines in nearly every stage. She's strong, controlled, and reliable, making her one of the safest high damage carries for electric teams. Think of her as a precision sniper. You want her damage to hit exactly when it counts. Yvonne is a cryo damage dealer who excels at single target elimination. Her ultimate can melt elites and bosses, and she provides us some crowd control through solidification. She also buffs herself against enemies already under cryo infliction or solidification, which makes her a potent carry. The downside? She's primarily single target. If enemies are scattered, she can struggle, and other carries like Laevatin or Aviwena can handle both single target and multiple enemies with stronger AoE damage. Still, Yvonne is a solid choice when you need focused burst damage. She may not dominate AoE stages, but for melting down key enemies, she's tough to beat. Chen Chanyu is the queen of vulnerable stacks for physical teams. She applies lift via her combo skill and battle skill, giving her team plenty of vulnerable stacks to maximize crush or breach damage. She's basically the glue that keeps physical rotations deadly. She also brings crowd control to the table, juggling enemies in midair and making fights like rampaging shields in Umbral Monument almost trivial. Her low-cost ultimate adds a little stagger as well, helping the team hit stagger windows faster. On top of that, her damage is solid. With the Swordmancer set, she can accelerate stagger triggers, making her both a support and a damage contributor. Chen Chanyu is a must-have for any serious physical team. Endministrator is a physical damage dealer that also supports the team with the real space stasis talent. He can apply crush, buff his own attack, and apply a physical damage taken debuff, making him a versatile carry. His big strength is single target burst. Triggering crush or casting ultimate on an enemy encased in originium crystals is devastating, and his essence disintegration talent buffs the whole team, especially in physical rotations. The limitation? He can only apply crush and relies on teammates to build the vulnerable stacks. Team planning and rotation management are crucial to maximize his damage output. Pogranichnik is the go-to vanguard for physical teams. He generates skill points, buffs the team through the Frontiers set, applies breach, and even deals off-field damage via Steel Oath stacks from his ultimate. He's basically a multi-tool for physical rotations. The trade-off? He's greedy with vulnerable stacks. To maximize SP generation and damage, you need careful planning between applying breach and triggering crush. It's a bit of a juggling act, but that's what makes him rewarding. When played right, Pogranichnik can keep the team rolling while dishing decent damage and applying breach consistently. He's a strong support for any physical carry. Gilberta is rare crowd control and art support all in one. She can apply art susceptibility, trigger corrosion with nature infliction, and buff ultimate gain for guards, casters, and supporters. She even provides minor healing. Her niche is huge for arts teams, especially for positioning enemies and maximizing debuffs. She's one of the strongest art susceptibility providers in the game and offers unique utility that few others can. The downside? Arts teams lack vulnerable sources, so she can't maximize her debuff. Her healing is also non-existent in single target fights, and her ultimate gain buff doesn't help main carries who are strikers. Still, she's a top tier support for art setups. Saihi is the backbone of cryo teams. She applies cryo buffs, arts amp, cryo amp, and increases cryo damage dealt, making her an essential support and debuffer simultaneously. She also provides healing, keeping her team alive while amplifying the DPS of carries. In her cryo teams, she's basically irreplaceable, managing multiple roles at once. If you're running a cryo setup, Saihi is a must-have. Her kit is specialized but incredibly powerful when used correctly. Last Right is a single target cryo damage carry with strong burst potential. She applies cryo susceptibility to boost her own damage and can be played on-field or off-field via battle skill triggers. Her big limitation is that she requires at least 3 cryo inflictions to perform her burst combo, which makes her team dependent and less flexible than other DPS units. Still, if you can set up her inflictions, Last Right melts single targets like butter. She's strong, but you need to build your team around her. Li Feng provides physical susceptibility and link, plus an extra vulnerable stack via his ultimate. He deals decent damage while buffing and debuffing, making him a hybrid carry/support. He shines in sustainless physical teams, but pure supports like Ardelia can sometimes replace him due to stronger healing and physical susceptibility. However, his link and personal damage give him value in fully offensive rotations. He may not be top tier sustained, but he contributes to overall physical team damage consistently. Antal buffs and debuffs, heat and electric teams, applying susceptibility and amp to set up stronger reactions. His combo skill even adds an extra stack of infliction for the team. His focus mechanic is single target and often unused in mob heavy stages, but in the right setup, he's a strong support for carries like Levitain. He ranks high due to team buffs, but his usefulness is limited by scenario restrictions. Still, in focused heat or electric rotations, he's extremely valuable. The characters in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, Levitain and Ardelia. Levitain is basically the queen of AoE damage in the game. She dishes out insane damage across a wide area, and the best part? She's uncontested in power. You don't have to worry about optimizing every little rotation because her raw damage and range make her a monster on any stage. Of course, she's team dependent. She needs combustion and corrosion from her teammates, and she relies on them stacking heat inflictions for maximum output. But the good news? Her team is super accessible. Most members come from story progression, events, or a 4-star headhunting pool, meaning you don't need a whale wallet to get her up and running. Whether you're clearing mobs or targeting a single boss, Levitain handles it all with the same rotation. High damage, wide range, easy team setup. It's basically a stress-free powerhouse. She's hands down one of the best characters in version 1.0, and players who snag her are in for a real treat. Ardelia is the healer you actually want on your team. She can heal allies, apply arts and physical susceptibility, and even forcibly apply corrosion. That's a ton of utility packed into one operator, making her a perfect fit for multiple team setups. Her combo skill can be triggered by anyone, and her debuffs last long enough to make a real impact. Her healing is strong enough for the current content, so she isn't just a buffer. She keeps your team alive when things get messy. The only minor hiccup? You have to pick up her sheep in the field to activate healing, which can mess with positioning or flow in some battles. But honestly, that's a small price to pay. With her flexibility, universal debuffs, and reliable healing, Ardelia firmly takes the top spot as the best support in version 1.0. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.